So I grew up in Ellensburg, and starting at my parents, I'm very lucky to have my parents, and they always set me up with art lessons. And so early on, I learned a lot of formal stuff from Bobby Halpern, who's a local artist.
Bobby, we love Bobby.
She's amazing. And then later on in high school, I added into that a lot of anatomy and like classical academic figurative stuff. So a lot of like copying old masters, you know, that whole kind of like looking back to art to make more of the same type of art.
Like this little piece right here too, right?
So,
Yeah.
would this be an example of what you mean? The George Washington crossing the Delaware?
Oh, well,
Emmanuel Lutz?
what
Is
I'm
that
now, I just like my origin story, I guess, would be that I like grew up copying a lot of like old men artists to learn how to draw and stuff, which is kind of a typical classical way of learning things. And then that's kind of developed into my practice as kind of like messing around with the trope of kind of doing master copies and revisiting work by these great men. Sadly, art history is a lot of men. And so that's kind of a backdrop for all of these pieces. So they're all based on different kind of classical bits of art history.
So in a way, you've been like copying men like your whole life.
Yeah, and then so now I think as an adult, I'm copying men with more intention, and also kind of like knowing that that's the foundation for a lot of Western art that's created and has been for a while. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then also just using that as a way to kind of like re-examine what all the images we grew up with knowing were like capital A art, being able to kind of like re-examine those and see where their flaws are. So mostly still a lot of paintings of old white dudes in charge, and kind of paintings of sad muses, and you know.
And do you like, I feel like when I look at the work, because so often like it makes me want to chuckle, like when you're making the work, are you also chuckling or are you like angry? Because I feel kind of both ways, you know. When I look at the work, I'm like, I feel like that's funny, you're making fun of something, but also like that sucks. These guys were jerks and they got away with so much stuff. Like, what's going through your head? Like,
I think just like being like, what is the reality of the thing being portrayed from my perspective? So like, this one's, you know, a little, it's not very subtle, the self-portrait, the Norman self-portrait, my less subtle pieces.
Like, were you angry? Were you angry when you were making this, or were you like, "Oh, this is good"?
I mean, there's also a part of me that's kind of like honoring and being like, these are really amazing paintings, but also, you know, made by somebody that probably clearly hated me, like, or you know. So I mean, I don't really feel angry, but it isn't like a, you know, I think it's kind of a bummer, but also. This is life, as we've been coming to find out recently. So I don't know. I also think humor comes in because, you know, painting as a legacy, like a Western history of painting is like, oh, it just makes everything really serious. You know, you make a painting of it and that means the thing is important. And there's only, you know, it sets a tone. So I think like kind of reversing that and being like, well, it's a fart joke or whatever. Seems like kind of a like, you know, way of reversing that like male egotistical macho painting thing.
But you feel like you're taking it back, or do you feel like
or just being like, hey guys, it's cool, we can make paintings that everybody understands and enjoys, not that special, just make it a picture.
Like, you could do this, I could do this too with boobs. This is one of the pieces you mentioned, kind of focusing on in regards to your process, right? The booby one?
Yeah, well, I think I work in series a lot, so I'll like once I realize that I've been doodling the same thing, I'll kind of make a big painting of it. So for a long time, I was just drawing famous men, like signing, looking at images of them like signing documents and stuff, but then changing it to them just drawing boobs. The favorite pastime of important men. So this is the signing of the Declaration of Independence, but how I imagine like them all turning in their notes beforehand, or before they posed for the real painting.
So they're like practicing like their signature together, and it's like, and the boobs are what?
I don't know,
like,
just how like people draw boobs. Well, I don't know how like dudes.
oh,
draw
like they're right, like they're in class, right? Like
yeah,
like teenagers, they're just like sitting there doodling, and they're doodling boobies and
yeah,
other private parts.
yes. It's like kind of akin to like writing the Slayer logo over and over again, or like, something that you just kind of do. Juvenile doodle.
Juvenile doodles.
Juvenile doodle.
I like that. Yeah, I never doodled Slayer, but I more did like like a little square, and then I would do like a star around the square, and then I would trace the star, and then I would do curlies around it. Not quite, yeah.
It sounds like you're close to drawing a boob. I mean, just
it's practically a boob. Yeah.
I mean,
you're right. I also doodled boobs. It turns out.
They're just really bad boobs.
So, like, you talked about your process a little bit, and these pieces here, are these sort of like studies, the tribute to Betsy Ross piece? Like, will you kind of do a sketch and then do some more, like, well, I'm gonna say quick, but I have no idea how long something
they're
like
all
this
super
would
quick,
take.
yeah.
Okay. So you do a few of these and then move into like a larger painting?
Yeah, I mean, there's no like formula that always happens. It's, sometimes I do a drawing and I'm like, well, that is fine as a drawing. It doesn't need to go anywhere. And sometimes you do a drawing and you're like, oh, that would look really good if it was blue instead and gigantic and oil.
This is a really, like, and it's such a bummer that people didn't get to spend enough time in this space, because I don't know, was it Renee that decided to put this piece right here, like in the narrowest part of the mezzanine, where like,
Renee's so good.
when you walk by, you're kind of like, oh, excuse me, sorry, Marilyn. Like, oh God, sorry, puppy. I'm like trying to get to the P. Well, one of the P pieces. I'm just gonna switch the view there. Hi. Like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. Like, did you talk to her about that? I wonder if she did
about
it on purpose.
About the gnarly pubes.
Yeah, like in the narrowest part of the.
I mean, I don't know. There's really no way of getting away from it. But I do feel like it's kind of weird that we have that iconic Marilyn Monroe image where it's like, in reality, a woman's skirt flying up in public is like not something you should be,
glorifying.
A poster up and hanging on your dorm wall next to the Scarface poster or whatever. And also like the reality of your skirt blowing up in public is not so aesthetically pleasing and enjoyable.
Well, and it's like not okay, because we're taught to be like embarrassed by it. Like, oh my God, don't look myself.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you, look, I worked here for 10 years and I have never sat on top of the piano.
Oh my God, you're like in a piano bar. You should do it this way.
I know,
be like,
up.
play another one, George.
Should I just,
except for you're all alone because of COVID.
I've never done this before. It just happens to be the perfect spot for me to, now I've got my feet, like I'm resting my feet on the top of the keys. Oh, don't tell anybody I did that. Okay, I'm gonna go back to, this is amazing for me. This is like learning to use the space in a whole new way. All right, I'm gonna go back to this Lost in Snow, parentheses, help piece, because you talked a little bit about this in terms of being, about the process. Okay.
Oh, well, this one I made especially for Gallery 1 because it is based on a John Clymer painting, who is from Ellensburg. He's kind of our like Ellensburg big name artist, and also painted a lot of really weird images that it's kind of like the same thing with Norman Rockwell, these like kind of stock nostalgia images, things that we've kind of like just come to automatically read as like, oh, it's American, it's cute. But like when you actually break it down or try to do just a description of what's going on, you're like, and then the cowboys are slaughtering the Indians,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, but it all looks pretty nice. It's like the Wild West or whatever. So this is an image I just thought was like so hilarious and pathetic. It's not that different, the original. I don't know if you can zoom in on the original image. Or
No, that's too sophisticated for me, but I might be able to like drop it in to the edited version.
Or, you know, all you viewers at home can Google it.
Look it up.
It's called, well, it's John Clymer, and I think if you say Lost in the Snow, that's probably the title.
Yeah, it says Lost here on this little.
Oh, it's just Lost.
Just Lost.
So yeah, it's like this kind of image of like a trapper waist deep in snow with his donkey looking like lost, but somehow kind of like still heroic and stoic. But also like, I don't know, just looking at this image being like, what this guy is a dumbass. And also like, it's not going to end well for him. I know.
Well, and you know, it's like, I just love, regardless, you know, of if he's, where he's from, what his intentions are, what his, you know, stances are on views, that everybody pees in the snow.
Yeah, even
right?
when you're waist deep in the snow. There's like a tiny penis coming out of the snow. I thought was very funny and also like not anatomical.
Oh, it's a tiny penis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like just the unifier of like peeing. I mean, do you have like another, because pee is, you know, it's a theme, right? For you, people pee. No, it's not a theme.
It is definitely a theme. It's also kind of just like an easy punchline, and it also does that thing where kind of like the elevated stance of a painting, when you change it just a little bit to be about somebody peeing instead of somebody being like a beautiful muse. You know, it's kind of like takes painting down a notch. Like,
well, right. It just like,
and it's funny, you know?
Yeah, it humanizes everybody, because we all do it, and we're not used to really seeing people. That's another thing, like the skirt up, right, in the wind. We're like ashamed if that happens. We're like, oh no, don't look at, oh dear, don't look there. It's like, if you have to pee, nobody wants to, like, you're not supposed to be peeing in public. And I can speak to this personally because I was raised peeing in public in the Philippines outside, and it was something that I've had to train myself to undo.
Yeah, where you're like,
but it's a liberating feeling to just go like, excuse me, I'm just gonna pee over there. I'll be right back. And men can do it whenever they want, almost wherever they want, relatively discreetly.
Yeah. But
I did not mean to turn that into a pee talk, but
men with their ability to pee discreetly, damn them. No, but there's also kind of like a thing about that painting where, I don't know if you thought, like, you know, sometimes like a bunch of ladies are camping and you all pee at the same time, kind of like very, you know, separated by a bush, but it's kind of like a nice lady bonding time, you know, when you're like,
agreed.
Yeah,
totally. I love peeing with my girlfriends.
Yeah. When there's like no risk of somebody being like hubba or arresting you, or, you know.
it's like a safe space.
Yeah, so there's like certain joy and unity in that, and also thinking about all those Degas ballerina paintings, and I think about them like, oh, these poor ladies were like in reality like real hard up, probably sex workers who like, just imagine how terrible your life would be if you had to dress up like a ballerina and stand there for Degas to paint like. And then also they're kind of like, their identity is kind of just forever, he got to say who they were. Like that's the only thing that has existed of them in the future in history. So you're kind of creating an image of somebody that's just an idealized thing and doesn't have any real.
He stole who they are to us.
Yeah, and was like, aren't ballerinas pretty? But also like, probably kind of like, aren't ballerinas pretty? You know, I don't know. There's just something creepy about it, and also like, I don't know. I bet that guy was a dork. All those guys were just so drunk and drinking absinthe and real serious about things.
Some of that sounds amazing.
Beautiful
like the absinthe part and stuff. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I moved while you were talking to this series of work. I'll go back to it that you had mentioned, and I thought when you said safe space, I don't know, that kind of made me. I do feel like your work. You know, I think it's kind of funny. I think it kind of makes me angry sometimes, but I think maybe both of those things kind of do create a safe space in a way to think about peeing with your girlfriends, or to imagine this, you know, iconic figure like peeing or doodling boobs. And for some reason, that's really comforting. But this series here, I think is, I think kind of a safe space, or about not having a safe space, the opposite of safe space, and what society is doing, or maybe well, you tell me. Can you talk about this piece right here that I'm focusing on?
Yeah, so it started with this really weird painting from, I think it's 1860. It might be 1865, but I think that's the Civil War. Anyway, I'm confusing my dates because I'm gonna
look.
But it's around, you know,
1860. David
1860. I did it.
Justice.
Yeah,
Discrediting myself. So it's by this painter, David. Oh
Blythe.
no,
Blythe.
Yeah. Who I think was a bit of a weirdo. From what I understand, during this time there was an influx of.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think you should call your next show that, just like weirdos.
Weirdos.
Yeah. Okay. No, go ahead. Sorry.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so it was an influx of you know, German immigrants and, you know, other immigrants from, you know, it was back when there were different derogatory names for white people, various, you know. So there was a real fear of all these German immigrants. I think Irish immigrants as well were coming in that wave. And in response to it, a party emerged that actually called themselves the Know Nothing Party. Things are about to get a little familiar here. Be careful. And this is a painting of the immigrants coming through, having like just immigrated to America. They're going through a judicial process. And the judge who's in the top left corner, he is supposed to represent somebody who is in the Know Nothing Party, because apparently they were pretty heavily involved in politics. And these immigrants who are walking through, kind of like on their way to be judged, the scary Germans. And the punishment for, you know, the risks were the Know Nothing Party, sorry, this is not going well, would dunk people in a tub full of blood.
It's going great, just so you know.
Immigrating, yeah, thank you, was being dunked in a blood tub, which is like horrifying.
Oh my God,
You know,
I hate that.
That
makes me like
at all. Also, like all the descendants of all these German immigrants are like, you know, now reputable families, and you know, they're the ones kind of worried about our borders. That's I need to reverse that, erase that. That was a broad generalization. Anyway, just for a group of people that have now found themselves like a pretty established American part, like identity in future generations. Anyway, so to me, it hit pretty hard in terms of our current outlook on immigration and how friendly we are, which is not. And when you think about it, like a blood tub is pretty bad, but doesn't have anything on a kid jail, you know? So I didn't really know what I was doing with this, but I did like compulsively start copying this painting. And what I realized I was doing was I started with the first, it's kind of like a cover band, or the first copy I did from looking at the original image. And then progressively from there, each following image I made was only done by using the image I had done before it as a reference. So I did a lot of these and they kind of gradually morphed, but we're still kind of the same template, but just kind of like changing over time, but not really changing at the heart of it. See what I'm getting at here?
And is the order that they're in, is this the order that you made them in then?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, what's the next one? Well, there's actually like 20 of them, but those are my favorites. So the final one is turned up on its end. So you can see where the judge was in the top left corner in the horizontal painting before it. He's now the top of this pyramid of guys hiding inside of a coat like a cartoon. Honestly, I don't really know what this means, but I know it means something. And there's also kind of something about that like translation of something by only looking back to the immediate past and how that kind of these like permutations in time, but without being like really aware of the origin, but still being tied to it. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And is the red in here, is that a reference to the bloodbath?
Oh, you know, I'm never fully conscious of what I'm doing, but maybe that makes sense. I mean, it also just seemed like red should go there.
I just like that idea.
And by the end, I'd done so many of them, I was like, let's just make this like short and sweet.
Let's just do this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a horizontal version of the painting underneath it, and then I just covered it all up. I flipped it on its side and covered it up with all of that. So there's little parts of it kind of peeking through. I think you can see, you know, the window, some other stuff. I don't know.
It's like deconstructed or reconstructed, maybe.
Yeah, or kind of just like
Put back together.
Piling things on until then it's just a pile, but you always assume it's, I don't know.
Well,
also,
thank you.
just people hiding inside of a coat to make a very tall man is always a funny trope, you know? Classic.
We should try that. I'm gonna get back on the piano when we finish this conversation, because I was really comfortable there. And then, oh, look at that. You can see the we put a piece here.
I like that.
Like this.
Yeah, can we do like matching?
Can we? Yeah. Like, okay.
Yes. I feel like you need like.
Sorry, I just totally took over your interview to self-indulge myself. I'm just like, what?
And also, I'm gonna take a picture of you like that. Can we do like matching poses?
Yeah. Oh wait, let me do mine with the piano. I've got one right here.
No,
I mean,
like, yes, like, oh. Okay, this is good. This is so good. Love it. Well, you know, I also wanted to, like, it's just occurring to me that the reason that we're doing this is because we had to close your show early because of the quarantine. But one of the things that I'm like grateful for, like besides technology, is, well, not besides technology, because of technology, is the ability to have these other layers and other conversations that we weren't even planning on doing.
Yeah, it would take me forever to talk to every single person that came to the show about all this stuff, you know?
Right. So now people can kind of dial in, you know, fast forward to, you know, the part where we're lounging on the pianos, or look at the P piece. They can kind of cut and paste, but, you know, also just like have this cool record of your show, because it was really heartbreaking to have to close. Okay, it's actually not that comfortable.
I mean, it was a great first week, right?
It was like, how long did we even get? Was it 2 weeks, or was it maybe?
I think no more than 2. I think definitely like a week and a half.
Oh,
maybe. I don't know. I mean, time was kind of over by that point anyway. So I don't know. Who knows? It was it was short time. I don't know.
So tell me, like, what you've been doing since. I'm interested in that too, like how your life as an artist has like changed, and you know what's been going on.
I mean, I feel like such a jerk saying this because this is a terrible time for so many people, but I also have to acknowledge that I'm very lucky to be an artist. I think, like, you know, I'm always trying to get reasons to stay home, and like I always want to be able to cancel things and go to the studio and crap hat on things. So in a way, you know, I'm having a good productive time learning about gardening. Also, I'm very...
Wait, did you say you're learning about gardening?
Yeah, I made a garden. I also have... Do you want to see some paintings in progress?
Yes.
All right, let's do a little... Let me walk you around. So I think I just have 2 that I feel like showing anybody. But we're gonna walk through my really messy basement.
Is that your studio? Your studio's in your basement?
No, my studio is on RV, parked outside my basement, but this painting is 7 feet tall by 5 feet. So it doesn't fit in the trailer. So I've been working on it in the basement, which is a weird place. Anyway, okay, let's see if I can flip this guy around.
Oh, classic.
Okay, so this is a painting. Let's see if I can get back. You can all judge me on my messiness here. I'm still not getting back far enough. Let's see here. Can you cut out all of those?
No, that's good stuff.
Oh, it's sideways.
That's good
Is that
stuff.
Is it right side up now?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a huge painting of, every year I have a big Passover Seder, and I didn't this year, and I was really sad, but I actually started this before everything was canceled, in anticipation of my Passover Seder. And I was like, ooh, and it's gonna be like this, and I'm so excited about it that I'm gonna make a huge painting that's just about how much I like love all the people in my life, and how, you know, grateful I am to have this like community. And, you know, so there's, you know, my, just so everybody knows, best friend is like a tier. So I'm not leaving anybody out, but like my best friend, Kristen, who's my neighbor, and we're so close. I love her. And my friend, Kate. And
are you guys in the same quarantine bubble?
We are. She's my, she and my boyfriend and my roommates are the only people I'm hanging out with. Although I did get a canoe with seats that are 7 feet apart. So I feel like, I don't know.
7, wow.
But I mean, it's kind of COVID friendly. So then there's, you know, here's my roommate Kamyar cooking yams in the background. What happened to my video? Is it back?
It's back.
There's Hanan, my other roommate. I think that's actually going to be coming out twice, wearing a beautiful shawl. Here's me being really excited about my enormous boyfriend on my lap, and we're all sitting around this table. Cora, the little kid. Kristen's pouring tea. She always takes care of everyone. Lucy, the dog. This is going to be my dad. You can probably guess from the like pointing finger. Blah, blah, blah. And here's my mom over here. So yeah, I feel like now this is a heavily COVID related painting just because it's like, I've been working on it and it's so like sense of longing. And also aside from that, like just remembering that there was a time where we did all hang out and pour tea into the wrong teacup and then drink out of it and be like, oh, sorry, was I drinking your tea? Oh, well, whatever. And then we had like, somebody brought Ethiopian food. We all shared it with our hands. We were crazy. We lived crazy lives.
I know. It was so luxurious. It was
Ethiopian
so
food. Anyway, somebody being like, I don't like this wine. And then being like, oh, do you want to try it? And then everybody drinking out of the same cup. Those are the days. Okay, so here's my studio. It's the same trailer is in Breaking Bad, I think. And this is a really good crime deterrent. But yeah, studio rent is very expensive and small in Seattle. So I bought this RV.
Oh, wow.
And I would apologize for it being messy, but it's always this way. I'm going to stop doing that. But yeah, so here's my RV. It's just gutted. It's a box.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
It's nice to have a little box of your own. But so this other painting, it's just been started. Let's move this up the shadow. So the first round, and it's I went to visit my from a safe distance. But yeah, anyway, they're out in Ellensburg, and my Auntie Muriel and my Uncle Judd came, and they all sat at a table. And my parents' yard looks amazing. Been doing there's these beautiful trees, and then kind of like sitting in the far. It was.
You're kind of breaking up, Ray. I think that.
Oh, I'm gonna move then.
But I'm loving that.
Let's see.
I love that piece.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was just like something. It was so nice, but also kind of like inherently sad to not be able to hug your mom, but then also just like really treasure that moment of at least being like able to sit in the same yard and kind of like scream things at them. And just like how times have changed, and that's like that's how we are close to each other is. And it's beautiful outside. It's springtime, the dogs are running around. I can't touch them because the CDC doesn't really know if we can give the dog COVID and then your parents, but like, and also like, it feels risky. I'm like, I drove to Ellensburg.
Day trips are allowed. You're
I know,
legit.
but it still seems like kind of scandalous to me where I'm like, I saw my mom without a screen. There was no screen. And, am I breaking up as much anymore?
No, you're better. You're better.
Yeah. And I like moved a thing for my dad, I moved all of his tires into the shed and then like sterilized the tires, but that's like, yay. And it means so much. I don't know. So I don't know. Just wanted to make a painting of it. Also, Aunt Muriel was like, you should paint this tree. This tree is beautiful. Look at your mother's tree. God, look at it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I should. So
agreed. Done, Aunt Muriel.
And what a good time to just paint trees because they're nice,